Okay, now with these holes, I drilled those rivets out with a 5/16 bit, because you're going to put a 1/2 inch long 5/16 bolt with a nylock washer. There we go. In that hole, nylock washer keep it from backing off, and it doesn't go deep enough to where it hits anything. So you're basically just using these to replace factory rivets, because it's expensive to buy that rivet gun that puts those big rivets in, and not the normal person doesn't have those. All right, the next step is going to be right here. This, see if I can get this in here where you can see the actuator. See the actuator? See that rod in that actuator? Well, that's what I'm going to be working on getting unhooked, because once you unhook it, you have to unhook it, because that latch up there that you see, we're getting ready to take it out, and you have to twist it to put this rod in. It's that white piece at the bottom there. That's the piece that goes into. So you have to fish it back through there. All right, I'm gonna hand the phone back over here to the cameraman, and I'm gonna take a look and see how the best way to get this off is, because it doesn't turn very well still hooked up. So first thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna show you how to take this latch off. All right, what you do is I've got an impact driver. It's a Phillips head impact driver. And I'm gonna back up here and see the end of the door, these Phillips head screws. You take this impact driver and you find what the world you did with your hammer. And this impact driver goes left or right, tighten or loose. And you take and hold it against it, and you take and you hit it pretty hard while you're holding pressure, and it'll back those screws right out. And once you get them backed out, you just take those screws out. There's 3 of them. And you do have to hit this impact driver pretty hard. For sake of time, I'm gonna go ahead and tell on myself. I went ahead and hit all these with it. It's a pretty hard hit. I used to do this on a lot of Volkswagens, and that's why if you look at that thing, it's mushroomed all around the end where I have hit it so hard to try to get a Phillips screw. I have a door hinge of a Volkswagen Carmen Ghia one time and other times. But like I said, you want to wear a glove, because it's going to bounce some, and you're going to take and you're going to hit that thing as hard as you can while you're turning. But like I said, I've already broke these loose. This is the last of the 3. You can just take it right on out. All right, now those are out. I'll lay this back down. I actually put it back in with that, but I put it pretty much just hand tight, and that's tight enough. All right, now, next step, this thing has to twist when it goes in. And when you put it in like that, it kind of lines up this to where you can get to it. Now this is plastic that I know of that holds that on there. It gets you a little bit better light. See that right there in that hole? Yeah. Can you see it? Okay, bring the camera on down. There you go. They can see what I'm working with. There, that's even better. Just the way that thing latches, and it's plastic. So what I do is I take and I'm gonna see if I can hang this light up in here to give light while I'm working. There we go. I'm gonna take, I've got a little pick that I got in the mill, and come in from this back side and give it a little bit of pressure up through here. But then you take a screwdriver. I use just a regular screwdriver, and I'm gonna take this glove off so it'll be easier now that I've done beating with my hands. And just take and slide this screwdriver down beside that rod. what I'm trying to do is get this out from behind it. And it's pretty tough. All right, there's that. And then Scott has a screwdriver behind his other side. Get my pick again. Where did I stuck it right here? Hard to see in here. Let's see. That little screwdriver doesn't have enough pressure. Go. I got behind it finally. Now get that ear. There we go. See how it popped right out? Get my light here for you. I know what to do with it. And it just popped right out, and it just have to be real careful because those things, like I said, are plastic. And here's the end of the rod. Now, what you'll do is just leave that rod, put it up high. Because what you're doing here is you're having to put this other rod for this actuator in there, and it goes in just like this. For some reason, this one had red on the end, the other one had green, but where it goes up in this latch, when I install this latch goes in like this, and it goes up. This arch goes up where the latch goes. So, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and twist this to the side. You can see I've got it pulled down. I've got to go ahead and put this in here. The way it's gonna sit, it's got to be in there already. And then you can see the little white grommet there. And you just have to twist that. To do. I'm twisting this around to where, and you got to be careful because when you're twisting it, you're also twisting to where that upper rod can come undone. So I'm in. Now, this rod here for the actuator will come back down on this side where you can, let me get this light for you. so you can see what's going on. Bring this, let me hold this. Now, it gets you a little bit better light when while we're in there. Okay. All right, as you can see, that rod for the actuator goes on this side. You can see that red of the other rod, which is the rod that goes to the latch now. All right, and then this one goes back there. All right, now what I'm gonna do is the next step, hand this back to him, is go ahead and start these screws to start putting this back in there. You gotta be real careful and make sure you didn't, where this upper rod is, where it did, so it, Jesus. All right, get this back in place. Luckily, this one's not that dirty. I have seen some of them that are real greasy, and this one's not. But you just take and start your Phillips screws in. And all right, I'm gonna grab that other one. Let me back up just a second. Okay. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and screw all these in. You just sit there and screw them in. This thing really doesn't have an adjustment. You just screw them in and it self-centers the adjustment for any door latches over here on the door jamb, which shouldn't need any adjusting. Of course, this car is a 2011, so it's not very old, but I always just take and tighten these real tight with the tool. And then when I get done, I'll kind of like just do it one more time for good measure. Hopefully I'll never take them out again. All right, now that we've got that rod where we would need it, I'm going to bring this other rod I think it needs to go on the other side. I do believe. Yeah, it goes on this side of that rod. Okay. So if you can see in the hole right there, what did I do? Oh, this other light. See in the hole right there, all I'm gonna do is reinstall that rod in that clip and it will snap right back in. And now it's there for good. And here's this rod. See how it misses it when you pull the door handle. And this is your door lock and unlock. Okay. Now we go in with this one. Put this off. Okay, here's our door latch. Remember how I told you this goes on here, just like that. Now I go in here and get my bolts and nuts. Basically, it's a, like I said, 5/16. You use a 1/2-inch drive wrench and socket. You just take and unscrew this. Start one of them. Now some of these, the back side is easier to reach than others. Because there's a rod right there, so the way I get to this one is coming down from the top. Well, no, went all the way around to the back like this. Stick that through, boom. Then the last one down here. Now it is kind of hard to get to. Underneath. go. Now let me get my wrench and my ratchet I was using. And like I said, I knew how all this went because I cheated and did the other side first. So I would know exactly what I needed to do. And like I said, I'm using these nylon nuts to keep to where I can adjust. Don't have to use lock washers, don't have to worry about it. I mean, I guess you could use a regular washer, but you know, for a few more cents, you never have to worry about taking it back apart and, you know, because a bolt loosened up or whatever. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this one down. I'm right-handed, so I'll put the force on the right hand. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to the center one here. Okay, now get my other hand in here. Hold it with that one. Okay, and I'm gonna tighten this last one up. All right, so now we've got that in. Okay, now what I'm gonna do before I put anything else back on, I'm gonna shut the door and test it. So, first of all, there's a kid's lock back here, and you gotta make sure that it's pushed forward, because locked is backwards. And make sure it's unlocked here. I'm gonna back up a minute. Now, this is what's gonna undo the latch. So, shut the door, opens from here. Opens from there. Now, one thing you'll notice when you do that, this piece right here doesn't come back easily. Well, your spring, return spring, is in the handle here. And that's what gives you the force. That thing's pretty tight to go back. Okay, so now we're ready to put our cover back on, because that's all there was to it. I'm gonna, being the person I am, I'm gonna double check and make sure that electric lock is snapped back on there good, which it is. So that's nothing to worry about. I just always do that. And so stick this back on. You know, it's basically a sound deadener and a little bit of a moisture barrier, but with these, you know, these aren't carpeted, so it doesn't really matter. Now, you go up here, you gotta get your door latch hooked in. There. And then all these tabs are sitting in the thing. Pull your wire out. All right, there you are there. Now remember, like I told you, the one that's like a machine screw is the one that goes in this hole, right down in there. Stick it down in there. It'll start 7mm. Boom, ba-doom, boom. I don't know if I told you in the beginning of this, but the title will say it. This is a 2011 model Crown Vic police car. So I think 2003 and up, or one, you know, they changed it over to this style at one point in time, but you know, they're probably pretty close. Putting this bottom screw back in. And remember, these screws are going into nylon, so you want them just snug, because too tight will strip them. And even this one is in the nylon. Okay, so now our next step is plugging our power window back in. You just take and plug it right there. Put that little piece right back in there, and that just helps hold it up. And then you've got all your tabs. And what I generally do is I start with this back because of the way it's made, and it catches like that, and just snap it right in. There's that part. Last piece. We're here with our door latch, and because it's kind of broke, it just kind of goes up in there, but you know, it's gonna hold with this torque screw anyway. And they can't see from the light. I saw the light, they said. Okay, double check that. Now here's my little plastic cover. Like I said, the little tabs go up and down. You can look in there and see the little slots, but it just snaps right in there. These little things go to the side that you pull them out from, and I just kind of start at the bottom, pop it right in there. And now, stand back. I'll shut the door, get in here, hope they don't take me to jail, shut the door, and get out all on my own. So I hope this video is explains it a little better. There were some other videos. The one thing I'm gonna do before I forget it, like I said, I'm gonna come out here and retighten these by hand tight, just because I want to. And then I had them pretty tight to start with, but we're done with that. I've already tested all the windows and they all work perfectly. So hopefully this video is informative to you. Just taking and getting more life out of one of these P71 Crown Victorias. This one's got 130,000 miles on it. And the cage is over there if anybody needs a cage. We took the cage out of it. If not, we'll be scrapping it. That thing takes up a lot of foot room out of the back seat of these cars. Once again, thanks a lot. And please like, share, subscribe. I'll try to bring you more videos. I've got one on F-150 I did a couple years ago. Stay safe.